Welcome back to the Call Like I See It podcast. I'm James Keys here with Tunde Ogunlana. And right now, we consider whether the recent move by one of the top HBCUs in the country to ban their students from wearing bonnets and durags to class and in the cafeteria is justified or over the top. All right, Tunde, for our second part today, we wanted to discuss these recent reports coming out of Tuskegee University down in Alabama, which is a historically Black college university, one of a prominent one. And what they've done is announced for this school year is they've announced that they have a new dress code and it bans the wearing of bonnets, do-rags, like house shoes, things like that to class or in the cafeteria. The thought process being they're trying to better prepare the students for professional world and so forth. Now, this says there have been people that have applauded this, saying, "Hey, it's a good idea. We should do this." There's also been people that have been very upset about this and saying, "Oh, it's wrong. It's not something they should be doing. It's attack on Black culture." So, what was your reaction to seeing the Tuskegee ban do-rags and bonnets in class and cafeteria settings?
As a grumpy middle-aged dude, I like it.
I love the way you preface that.
Yeah, F them kids. Go dress, stop dressing like a loser. It ain't Walmart over here, Nah, man, look, I'm a fan of it generally, right? I know we'll get into some nuances about, what may or may not be fair, but I think generally I'm a fan of it. I think kids in all public schools should have some sort of uniform or dress code. It doesn't have to be a shirt and tie for the boys. It could be a polo shirt, but it's still, I think there's been all these psychological studies too about when you dress a certain way, how you feel about yourself, all this kind of stuff. So I think there's a lot of positivity to it. I think I was looking at Tuskegee University itself, the recent new president and CEO of the university. It was a recently retired U.S. Air Force Major General. So it's like, all right, he's a serious dude that made it really far in the military, which is not easy and which requires you to behave a certain way and act a certain way. And the military has uniforms, right? And I think, it made me think of certain things like I never liked that John Fetterman, who's a senator, wears hoodies and shorts into the U.S. Senate. I think that's BS. Yeah. I think that a senator should wear a suit to work, just like us business guys wear suits and you attorneys wear suits into a court. Yeah. Right? You don't wear a hoodie into a courtroom when you're trying a case. So I look at it in that way that, and it reminds me too, I'll finish my rant with this. I remember the NBA, guys were starting to, I guess, in the eyes of David Stern, who was the commissioner at the time, starting to look a little bit too thugged out, wearing wife beaters and big gold chains and stuff to press conferences. And in 2005, the NBA forced a dress code that you had to wear business casual attire at least to a press conference. And there was the same kind of reaction. Oh, you're beating up Black culture. Oh, we don't. And it's like, in the end, I think it helped the NBA. Everybody's better off. The guys, carry themselves a certain way, looks a little bit better. Marketing and endorsement deals are flowing. So I don't. For me, it's not something that I am offended by.
Yeah. No, I mean, I would say just from a big picture standpoint, I don't think it's completely out of line or overstep it. So this is an educational institution. If they want to raise the standard that they want to require of the people at that institution, so be it. If they want to try it, and then great. Then they can evaluate, as long as they evaluate to see if it works, see if they like the outcomes, if does it drive students away? Like, oh, we're not going. The best students aren't coming here because of this. Then they may change. If it doesn't, or if performance improves, then you learn something. You get a data point. What I don't like about the entire discussion actually is the unwillingness to try new things. There's a lot of complaining that goes on about how colleges, particularly for the money, but not even just the amount of money that people are paying, aren't adequately preparing students for the real world, so to speak. Or the real world is turning in ways that the way that colleges are preparing people there's a misalignment now. So I think we should be trying a lot of things at colleges right now to try to figure out how to make college worthwhile. Now, one of those could be lowering the costs, but try to make college more worthwhile, because as a experience from a social development, all that kind of stuff, it's a very good experience for people. It's something that people can have, young people and so forth. So there is value that college can add to people's lives. So we should be trying more stuff, not less stuff, in terms of how can we make the experience something that people get more out of. And that can be hard skills, like actual training for things. And that could be soft skills, like you dress a certain way, like you said, and then the studies have shown that people take things more seriously or whatever if they're in a more formal outfit setting. So to me, it's really just about, if they want to try this, let the market dictate. Okay, try it, see how it happens, and then if 5 years from now, if it seems like the results are getting worse at this place, then you move off of it. You don't stay committed to it at that point. But I also, and I would agree with you, just in terms of like the idea that it's a historically black college or historically black university, which I'm an alum of Howard University. I mean, so I can appreciate that. Oh, is this university now where it's supposed to be a place where black folks in the United States can go and feel safe, don't feel like an outsider? Then you're doing this. Is there a betrayal there? And I have a hard time coming to the place that bonnets and durags and house shoes are like some part of black culture that can't be separated out from blackness. So that part to me is a little just like, I don't know, like you go to a black owned business and it's not, you don't have the expectation that you can just show up in whatever type of garb. And it's like, oh, well, this black owned business is abandoning black culture because they won't let me show up in certain kind of dress. So like, I think that's a misdirection. That's not really the issue right here. It's an educational institution. So if they want to raise their standards to try to create a better outcome for the students, let them try, and I don't know if it's like, everybody's always so sure that everything is either going to work or not going to work. I don't know if it's going to work or not, or if it's going to improve the setting or not, but it's worth a try. I mean, uniforms in other settings have made things better, so let's try it and see what happens.
It's funny. I'm laughing because as you were saying about the like a black owned business, you just expected to walk into like some fancy restaurant with a durag and a bonnet, if it's a black owned restaurant. And
like, man, this is black culture, bro. Like, no, what are you talking about?
Funny because in other instances when non-black people talk like that, it's very offensive, and I think it's as offensive for some of these kids to be coming from that angle too, to say, oh, you're hurting black culture because you won't let us wear a bonnet and durag. Like, really, kid? Is that all you think it is?
Well, but I think that's people who aren't in favor of it. They're looking for reasons to try to bolster their argument, things that might appeal to people or sound compelling, Yeah. But I don't think that like that my point is that argument to me doesn't hold up to scrutiny. Now, one place I am sensitive to is, and this is why I was glad the way you prefaced your comments that you weren't in favor of it. And again, for me, just to be clear, I don't think that it's something that has to be done. But if a guy wants, if the leader of the school, the leadership of the school want to try it, I think that they should be entitled to try it and see what happens, without everybody first, like second guessing them, or, everybody who's so sure about everything that's going to happen every time somebody does something is just, that's nuts to me. Like, try stuff. So one thing, though, that I am careful on this, though, that I like, and I mentioned to you beforehand, like, there's one thing that we have to make sure that, because I'm a guy with short hair. I'm a man, short hair. You're a man with a bald head. So, like, the idea of having to wake up an hour early or an hour and a half earlier to do my hair or to get my hair a certain way is not something I can relate to, And so I wonder, do you think, as a man who shaves his head, and do we have a blind spot here? And not just as an old guy, though. Now forget the old guy piece. Just not having to do your hair in the morning. Do we have a blind spot here? Bald spot. A blind spot here with the burden maybe that we're saying should be placed on, particularly the women, but some guys, spend a lot of time to do their hair too. But on whether and it's not a question of whether or not this can be done. It's a matter of whether the juice is worth the squeeze. Like, this isn't a professional setting. This is school. So, is this a higher burden than which should be placed on, particularly, again, the people who have to do their hair in every morning and so forth, and then what needs be for this kind of setting?
No. Don't do your hair that way. Don't spend an hour on it. I think about when I went to university. I didn't go to an HBCU, but it was in Miami, my university, Florida International University, which has a lot of, black people and people with hair that requires a lot of time, right? A lot of Black, Hispanic, Caribbean people, all that kind of stuff down there. And so the point I'm making is I try to think back to, 28, 30 years ago almost when I was in school. And I don't remember people. And the thing is, I used to wear a durag sometimes, and I would wear it when I try to get waves. I wear it to sleep, right? That's what it's for. And obviously, I know that for men, durags have been a style to wear under a hat or in the street or whatever. But it's fine. But just don't wear it to class, right? I don't remember a lot of guys wearing durags to class. I remember them wearing them in the dorms or walking on the street, but not into class. And so I think something has changed in our culture and society, meaning American culture and society, that for whatever reason, kids are dressing like this wherever they go. And I think it's not just university. I think it's all over the place. Well, I mentioned Walmart. I mentioned the airport, right? I'm thinking about how many people I see go on a plane when I go on a plane and they're in pajamas, or the chick got a rollers in her hair. And it's like, it's not just this university setting. It seems like something's happened in the last generation where Americans, some of us, just roll out of bed and show up somewhere and don't take the personal care of hygiene and how you feel about yourself and how you look in going somewhere. And so, I can appreciate that as a young person. Because I was thinking about this, James. I was like, all right, I'm middle-aged. Like, how would I feel? And I was like, yeah, I remember when we were kids in the 90s and C. Dolores Tucker's talking about Tupac is ruining kids' brains and all this. And, you always have that kind of feeling of, oh, these old people, they don't understand us young people. And, they're whatever. I'm sure that's every generation. But I just think that, this is not a big ask for people, even, because I remember there was a lot of girls that you go to class at 9 a.m, their hair was just pulled back in a ponytail. You could tell they weren't sitting there for 5 hours trying to do their hair. They were there trying to study. Like you said, it's an educational institution. It's not a club. So that's it. That's how I feel about it.
No, it's for me, I'm more hesitant than you. In the sense that not the do-rag part as much, like with the guys, I know the guys' experience more or less, so I don't feel like I have as big of a blind spot. Like you said, like you do what you got to do, like every day doesn't have to be, if you're a guy with longer hair, every day that's not going to be an A+ day, but for the women, I'm a little more concerned that I might have a blind spot because, as you just said, we want to encourage people, or you think it's good to encourage people to, when they go somewhere, be more presentable, So it's like, well, on one hand, you say that, and then on the other hand, it's like, oh, well, just put your hair back in a ponytail. And it's like, that may not be something that people are comfortable with in that sense. Like if they're going to do their hair, they want to do it right. And if they're going to be out, and people are going to be seeing their stuff, they want to do it right. So I get that. And the fact that it's then, if it's a workplace, then you don't see people banging the table saying, "Oh, well, people should be able to show up at a workplace with anything, in the way they look." But college isn't a workplace, and while it should prepare you for a workplace, saying that automatically knee jerk the standards of the workplace should apply here, no matter how much extra inconvenience or work that it requires on some but not all people, is something that gives me a little pause. But again, this is my thought on this. Like, you try it. I could see how this could create a very, very, very big problem for some people. You try it in good faith. You see how it works out. And then if it's something that it's like, hey, this is creating, our girls are all showing up, or our girls aren't even taking classes before 11 o'clock anymore. People are having a hard time doing this or doing that, then we can adjust in the future. I don't think that, even if the juice might not be worth the squeeze, let's find out. Let's get the data points. Let's see what happens. And so, like, my overall point with this is kind of, what I made before, is just that, yes, this could be a good point. It could be. This could be like, oh, you're putting such a burden on the girls and everything like that. And so it's not fair. All of that may be true. That's not a reason not to try it. That's a reason to say, hey, this may be something we have to try and then sunset or adjust. Next year, it might be a little different and so forth. It's not like we're setting this and it has to be like that for the end of time. It's like, let's see. So, from my standpoint, though, I am more sensitive to the potential blind spot I have because, I can get out of bed for my hair. I'll brush my teeth, I'll shower and all that. But my hair, I'm just like that. And that's it, So I don't know what it would be like saying, oh yeah, I got to get up at 4 a.m. in order to get my stuff so that I can be presentable the way that in the spirit of what they're, trying to do. The spirit of what they're trying to do is saying come to class presentable. So it's not like, oh, well, just do the next best, the next least amount of work thing.
Well, you're a nice guy. Your family, your wife should be very happy of who you are. A very empathetic man. The kids will definitely have much more fun with you as their headmaster than me. So that's how we're going to end the show. I don't want to hear it. You're here to get an education first,
good cop,
to get a degree.
Cop, man. Good cop, bad cop.
Your hair. If you can't show up before 11, that's your problem. We're starting class at 8. Don't wear a goddamn bonnet. That's exactly would be my attitude.
There we go.
So that's it. Because you're here to get an education so you can go make a lot of money and have the best hair you can when you're an adult.
For sure.
That's basically my message.
All right. Well, there you go. Hey, it's good cop, bad cop, man. So, you'll have your university, I'll have mine, and then we'll see whose university rises to the top. That's the way it works. So, but we appreciate
you're going to cheat in sports. So that's what I'm telling the audience.
Hey, man, don't start setting excuses already.
Yeah, and I'm gonna have better accreditation.
So there you go.
And then we're gonna give doctorates, and we're gonna have a law school and a med school.
We'll see. But now we appreciate everybody for joining us on this episode of Call.
That's another show.
Subscribe to the podcast, rate it, review it, tell us what you think, send it to a friend. Until next time, I'm James Keys.
I'm Tunde Ogunlana.
All right, we'll talk soon.